Good evening, race fans. Tonight we welcome you to the upstate regions of New York State. We are at Watkins Glen International. Just 3 races remain on the Trinity Racing League season. And tonight it is the final road course of the season here at Watkins Glen International for the Send Ben to the Glen 150 here on a Monday night. Happy to have you along with us here as we get rolling on a Monday night. Helping me call the action for the next 60 laps around this road course is my friend Chris Rose, and a new name and a new voice to the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network here tonight, Alex Matheny.
What's up, you guys? Yeah, I'm back again on another Monday night. I'm excited for this this race here at Watkins Glen. It might be a little interesting, especially coming to the final ending of the season here. It's definitely going to be something to look at for some of these drivers here.
Good evening, everyone. Alex coming to you for the first time on this broadcast. I'm happy for the privilege to join my friends Chris and Tom tonight for the first time. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, guys. We come to the final road course of the season. Just 2 races remaining in the regular season. After tonight, we've got Phoenix Raceway and Las Vegas Raceway coming up in the next 2 weeks. But we take a look, our attention focuses to the playoffs. Thomas Green comes in here with a 7-point lead over Cedric Hunter, just 9 points over Ali Fonseca, and Nolan Hicks and Scott Richter ran at the top 5 here in the points. Opportunities to gain points are slowly dwindling here at the end of the season. And guess who's at the top of the speed charts? It's going to be Ali Fonseca.
As it is, Ollie's going to be right over here. He's going to be he's shown pretty well in practice here. You know, a lot of these drivers have been seeming to be pretty confident with this track over here at Watkins Glen. You know, it's classic track for these drivers to go to. A lot of people definitely know this as the road course for NASCAR.
There's an opportunity for Thomas Green to extend his points lead coming into tonight. As a couple of weeks ago, back in the month of March, we were over west. We were at Sonoma Raceway, where Thomas Green had a great battle and ultimately walked away with the checkered flag at Sonoma Raceway. Can he do the same thing here tonight, extend his points lead, or does Fonseca have an opportunity to close that gap with just 2 races remaining after tonight? That's going to be the question that drivers are looking for the answer to as we approach the final 30 seconds of practice. Final 30 seconds of practice, and drivers making sure that they are all set to go for 60 laps of racing out here tonight from Watkins Glen, New York. Other names out in the field just outside the top 10. You've got Ryan Kelly, Chris Stitz, Larry Yingling, Aaron Krolick, all playoff drivers that are looking to find their way in, but they're multiple points back outside the top 10, and points coming in tonight between 30 and 35 points back. So they're going to need some help between tonight and the next 2 weeks, but got to start to think here. It's a 12-point swing between 1st and 5th place. Got to start to be thinking that after we leave Watkins Glen here tonight, we will likely start to dwindle down the playoff talks and figure out who's going to be eligible once we get to Phoenix next week and then Vegas in 2 weeks. But drivers going to be given 10 minutes to do their qualifying out here this evening, a little bit longer than usual. 10 minutes to get around this 2.45 mile track.
Yeah, drivers usually have about 5 minutes for qualifying at the normal ovals, but a lot of league owners like to give them a little extra time here at the road course, you know, just be able to extend, because the laps can be so long, you know, you don't want to give anybody to have no chance at a qualifying lap here, so especially at a road course. So
got a couple of cars already on an active track here, and we're going to switch over to one of them as soon as we get set up over here. Ali Fonseca comes in here chasing a championship, and he's going to be one of the first cars to roll off a pit road. Up through the hills of the S's he comes.
Gonna get right onto that outside line, right onto the curbing, see if he can get the best line through 1 and 2, just to, or I believe that's actually 3 and 4, just to get the tires warmed up a little bit. Tire warmth is definitely going to be a huge thing on these qualifying laps, because cold tires, the cars do not like to put the power down, especially out of the corner here at Watkins Glen. It's a lot of loosey-goosey on these cars, especially you know, on the corner exit. So it's going to be a lot of just tire warming for these first probably 1 to 1.5 laps. and then you're going to see drivers do their full push for that second qualifying lap.
Through the long sweeping carousel, now down what may be considered the backstretch in here into turn number 9, the left-hander before he makes the final turn of this 2.45-mile road course, and he's going to see the green flag for the first time. Other drivers out on track right now: Nolan Hicks, Noah Steele, Scott Richter, Sam Garcia, and more, all underneath a green flag condition.
Yeah, when we see Nolan Hicks, I believe, starting his flying lap here, going up through the S's again, seems to have a pretty good line, gets a great turn through the long sweeping right-hander going to the backstretch, and he's going to see if he's able to get the S's correct. I know this is Alex's favorite part of this track.
Yeah, something I noticed observing some of these drivers in practice, not sparing any energy in the opening, the opening runs leading up to this race. It's unbelievable the type of, how much it takes to just get yourself prepared for an event like this, really get zoned in. That way, you don't have any mishaps during the actual race, and it takes a lot of preparing for an event like this.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great point to bring up, especially at a road course, where every corner is really technical and every corner really matters, so it is a lot of prep work that these drivers have to do, especially here on their qualifying and practice laps.
Especially when it comes to late braking into that bus stop.
For the qualifying laps, it looks like Ali Fonseca is going to be the number 1 position here, followed by Chris Stitz for 3rd place, actually, and then Samuel Garcia in 2nd to round off those podium positions here after qualifying.
A handful of drivers have completed their first green flag lap as we wait on more drivers to complete their qualifying efforts out here. Ali Fonseca, fastest of the drivers that have taken a time so far, looking to hold on to that pole position. Got other drivers out on track as well, waiting to pick up their first green flag lap. One of those drivers is going to be Cedric Hunter. Cedric, working his lap number 2, was just over a second behind the current race leader of Ali Fonseca, as he's going to make his way down the backstretch into what is arguably the most technical and demanding corner of this entire circuit, and that's the bus stop. Going to enter
really
into the long right-hander sweeping corner of the carousel, and that corner right there is so easy to think that you're good to go and step on the gas. Either push up to a car that's on your left-hand side or find yourself perhaps on a path to run the boot here, another configuration of the Watkins Glen International Speedway that these drivers here not running tonight, but need to be careful on the throttle through the carousel, now through turn 10 and across the start-finish line. Cedric looking to see if he can improve on lap number 2 from 8th. He's going to pick up to 5th.
And I like what you were saying about the carousel as well as the S's. The S's is definitely the most technical portion, but then you've got the carousel right after that, which is another really technical corner. And like you were saying, it's really easy to think that you're gonna be correct through that corner. Like you feel like sometimes the car looks like it's gonna rotate really well and hold through the corner very well, but then I get on the throttle just a little bit too hard and it either gets really tight or just really loose. So it's a lot of technicality in that corner there.
Just a couple of minutes remaining here in opening qualifying. Tyler Reif has moved up to a 3rd place run as we move our attention over to the driver of the 01 Chevy Camaro, and that is, of course, Aaron Krolick. First time by, he was good enough for 10th.
Seems to get the carousel right here, a little bit loose off the corner. Drivers are able to run outside the curbing there. It's the just like the NASCAR rules in real life. They don't really worry about track limits there, but able to run seemingly pretty well through the carousel, keeping it clean through the hard left-hander, coming down to the final right-hander. The car likes to snap loose, especially if you go too low on that bottom line towards the pit lane. It's a lot flatter down there in the corner, but it seems to end up keeping it well and crossing the finish line.
2 laps in the book for driver 01. Looks like he's going to slide back on over to 12th, actually, is one of the last drivers still on an active track right now. That is Mike Miller in that familiar number 99 with the American flag on the hood. Only other driver on a flyer right now is Larry Yingling. Larry looking to put his first lap in the book as we work our way down the backstretch and see what Larry is able to put up on his qualifying attempt here.
Runs as much of the track as he can through the left-hander, and honestly, that was a great corner for Larry there. Does great through the right-hander as well. Able to keep the car rotated and keep the speed off the corner, and it's looking like it's going to be a great start to his flying lap.
Yeah, first lap for Larry, good enough for 8th as he makes his way off of turn number 1 up through the S's, a very challenging section of the racetrack. Larry, of course, picked up the regular season finale win at Talladega Superspeedway just a couple of weeks ago in a thrilling finish over, I want to say it was Christopher Norris, maybe fact check me on that, but a thrilling finish at Talladega Superspeedway nonetheless to set the pace for this 5-race playoff run to the championship. Couple of minutes remain here in qualifying as we wait for our final drivers to take their qualifying laps out here. Alex, I guess we come to a road course, and unlike an oval that you'll see next week at Phoenix Raceway, no scheduled cautions out here tonight. Now, race control does reserve the right to throw a yellow if there is a large incident, but no contact yellows out here tonight, so track position going to be so key, Alex.
Yeah, everybody's going to have to just take that extra step to be careful. One wrong move, you're going to be playing catch up the rest of the race. And I've known a lot of people been in positions like that in events like this. It is not fun at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we saw just a couple of weeks ago at the race number 1 of the playoffs at Motegi overseas in Japan, we saw a caution-free race, a green flag to checkered flag. And drivers that didn't qualify were starting behind the 8 ball from the word go out here tonight. Larry done with his 2 laps, and we're going to give it just a moment here or so, and it's almost time to go racing out here this evening.
I think that's the 3rd time this season so far that we've seen Larry need to head to the infield care center after one of those qualifying crashes. That was a little ridiculous.
I don't know if the throttle might have hung. They need to get that looked at before the race starts. Hopefully they can get that thing back in shape.
About 40 seconds remain in qualifying and no drivers on an active track, so we will call Ali Fonseca, the pole sitter, out here this evening. Driver's going to be given 5 minutes of warm-up as usual to get acclimated one more time before we get racing out here. I tell you what, Chris, why don't we see if I don't see. Do you see Ali up there anywhere?
Let's see. I do not. There's not many people in the channels here. I don't see Ollie, unfortunately, but we haven't really talked to Sam Garcia, have we?
Yeah, grab Sam Garcia. Grab a word with Sam.
How you doing, Sam? It's Chris, Alice, and Tom in the booth here tonight.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
How you doing? What are your thoughts here about the way the track feels tonight? How confident you are, and just the general consensus of Watkins Glen here.
I feel great here. I have a lot of experience racing here for sure. I've done plenty of official races, a lot of league races here. P6, I would definitely take it. Got plenty of fast guys around me, so I'll definitely. It's going to be difficult, but we're here to compete and hope for a good result.
Absolutely, and a good result is all you can hope for, especially at a race like this in the playoffs. And I do believe. I forgot what I was going to say, unfortunately, but yeah, I hope that the track doesn't treat you too bad out here tonight. I know it can be a little bit of a struggle in certain one of these corners, especially the S's. But yeah, 6 is a pretty strong starting position out here tonight, and it's a great showing for the 50 car.
Yeah, of course. Usually the past 2 road courses, Red Bull Ring and Sonoma, didn't finish Red Bull Ring. I qualified terribly, ran terribly, and didn't finish. Sonoma, I was okay. started 13th, finished 15th. You know, could have been better, but oh well. Now here, like I said earlier, a lot of experience here. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks on the schedule for sure. Yeah, just gotta go out there and hopefully, you know, get a good result. And hopefully, my end goal is in this chase to get finished at the top 10. So hopefully, we can get that done.
All right. One last question for you before I get you back to your team is what's the fuel run looking like here tonight?
So it's like roughly like 30. You could probably go up to like 30 laps. Just one stop. Um, you know, it's going to be a one-stop race. You can stretch it out to about 30 laps, which you can finish the rest of the race on fuel. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Gotcha. All right, Sam, I'm going to get you back down to your team there, and we're going to get out here to, I believe it's the gridding right now. Oh, no, not yet. We still have some drivers out here in warm-up.
Yeah, drivers given a 5-minute warm-up out here. Words from Sam Garcia out here this evening. Comes into tonight 31 points back off of the points lead off of Thomas Green, but only 1 point back off of what he said his goal was to finish inside the top 10 in points. So that is well within reach out here this evening. Drivers making their final couple of laps around here, around this 2.45 mile road course, is Ali Fonseca, one of the drivers that we're following around here through the carousel and down the back.
So Alex, I know you're not like the most familiar with how the cars are on iRacing, and just wondering, like, I know you have a lot of experience on, like, say, NASCAR 25, and how does it compare to see like the rotation of these cars and the way these drivers are driving compared to, you know, like a different console game, you know, how different the sim is compared to a controller?
Well, something I was noticing while y'all were doing the driver interview, while we were on the blimp cam, it looks to be a bit foggy out here today. It makes you wonder what that's going to do with the track temps out here and potentially the grip level on such a technical course like this. It seems like these conditions might make it a little bit tougher in some areas of the track than it normally would be on, say, a sunny day out here in New York.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the foggy conditions definitely can put a little bit of a rake in your plan if you have a certain line that you run at a certain temperature on the track. It definitely can throw a rake in your plans there. Sometimes the sunny days can make the track a little slicker, so a little bit of a cloudy day might be a little bit of relief for some of these drivers, but, you know, too cold of a track kind of gives the same thing as too much heat.
Yeah, some of these cars, I've noticed they're putting down some pretty aggressive qualifying times, so looks like a lot of these guys really have their stuff dialed in. This should be an exciting race.
It definitely should be, as Nolan Hicks comes up to the S's here in warm-up, just barely misses the wall there, and he tries to get the power down just for the backstretch here.
Taking a lap around Watkins Glen International with Nolan Hicks, and you hear him going up through the gearboxes, having to play around with the throttle to get around here without issue. One thing that Sam Garcia said in our pre-race interview, I'm sure both of you guys picked up on it, but something that's worth noting, said it's going to be a one-stop race. You can go about 30 laps on fuel, and guess what? We have a 60-lap race. So I never aced math, but that tells me we may be close on fuel towards the end of the evening. So we'll keep an eye on around that lap number 30 marker. But checkered flag is out over the warm-up session, and that means it is time to pull up our starting grid and get rolling out here tonight for the Send Ben to the Glen 150 here at Watkins Glen. Starting on the front row out here tonight, Ali Fonseca takes the pole position over Thomas Green. That's going to be the front row. They're going to be leading us to the green flag here this evening. Cody Reed and Tyler Reif start in row number 2 in 3rd and 4th place. Chris Stitz belongs to position number 5. Sam Garcia, driver that we spoke to in pre-race, starts 6th here this evening. Ryan Kelly rolls off in 7th with Larry Yingling to his outside in 8th. The top 10 is rounded out by Cedric Hunter and Nolan Hicks.
And you've got Scott Ricard in the 05 for 11th, then Mark Labertone in 12th, Aaron Kralik and Noah Steele in 13th and 14th, Mike Miller in that white 99 in 15th, Clint Cox in 16th, Chris Stamper and Brandon Gass in 17th and 18th respectively. And I believe 19th was 19th was Joshua Sawyer.
19 drivers have made their way out here. Apologies for losing the starting grid here real quick. 2 drivers elected not to take a qualifying time, and that is Brandon Gass starting 18th out here, as well as Josh Sawyer in 19th. Driver's going to be given 1 lap before we see the green flag, the only expected green flag out here this evening. As we get set to go racing out here this evening, we want to give a shout out to our grid sponsor, and that is, of course, Blazing Fast TV. If you're looking for a chill and relaxed stream, head on over to Blazing Fast TV on Twitch and YouTube today. Check out a live point of view of Dakota Moniz as he races. Drop a follow, subscribe, click the like button, do all the things to stay up to date when he goes live and post content here from the Trinity Racing League. All right, well, 1 lap to green, and they brought out the Porsche out here this evening, but I tell you what, we get ready to go racing here, and I think your nerves are a little bit higher every time you take the green flag at a road course, because just one mistake by you or another one of your competitors could spell trouble for the entire field.
Absolutely, and I mean, you know, I even get a lot of nerves at normal ovals, so, you know, at a road course, especially for me, my nerves are flying at the beginning of a race, you know, especially with how close everybody is and how different your actual braking points are from a normal flying lap. You know, you got to be super careful of everybody around you.
Field make their way through the carousel, now down into the backstretch before they see the left-hand turn of turn number 9, and that's going to bring us to the start of tonight's event. We get set to go racing out here tonight. Happy to have you along with us here on a Monday night from the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. For Alex, Chris, and myself, it's about time to go green flag racing here at Watkins Glen. Pace car going to make that hard right-hand turn down onto pit road as we wait on Barney the Flagman to send us into turn number 1 for the first time this evening. We're going to see the green flag, and it's all go up front. Thomas Green on the left side, Ali Fonseca, the pole sitter. Everybody races down to turn number 1. We'll see how they fare.
Seem to get through turn 1 relatively clean. So, I believe that was Tyler Reef all the way out to the outside wall there. Very close to having some contact, having some problems there. And then we got a little bit of issues with Ali Fonseca, and I believe that was a Thomas Green with him having a little bit of contact there through the S's, but able to get through there still clean and safe, and now they head towards the S's.
Very close racing up through the S's for lap number 1 of tonight's event. Fonseca's going to go around off the nose of Thomas Green on the exit of the bus stop, and that is lap 1, issue number 1 for a playoff contender. Big issues for Ali Fonseca. He's going to be able to continue, but some damage to the rear end of that number 24, but more importantly, track position lost for the pole sitter.
Big damage for that number 24 car here, but we're back to the front as Tyler Reef leads the pack. Both Thomas Green and Cody Reed having a very good battle to behind him, very, very close into the corner. It seems like Thomas Green is able to just clear him off the exit, and as we come through the start-finish line, they seem to be more filed up here.
Lap number 1 in the books, and it is led by the driver, the number 31. That is Tyler Reif as they make their way down into turn number 1. Second place still belongs to Thomas Green. That's where he qualified out here. Issues for Tyler Reif, the race leader. He's going to get sideways on the exit of turn number 1. Also issues for Chris Stitz. Issues everywhere we take a look at here early in the goings, and that's going to pass over the race lead tentatively to Thomas Green.
You gotta wonder, maybe those cold tires still had a little bit of an effect on those cars in the beginning, and you know, it was just 1 lap, not enough heat put under some of those tires, especially with early braking, not enough not enough power put down under the wheels, and maybe lost some grip for some of these drivers here, but definitely need to be careful here on those cold tires, but they're probably gonna be warming up here very soon.
Absolutely. I tell you what here, Chris, while we were while we were talking about him, why don't we take a look back here and see what happened with Ali Fonseca off track, off the nose of Thomas Green through the bus stop here. Ollie's already kind of off center through the bus stop, and then Thomas Green's going to just be right there and issues the replay here for Ali Fonseca, but he's going to continue on without issue. And then I guess we'll try to grab another view of what may have happened to, I guess there's going to be two issues here. First one being with Tyler Rife, and this was down into turn number...
I think he had contact before that. I think it was outside of turn 1. I'm pretty sure he might have lost it.
Yeah, we saw him kind of go around there real quick, but issues early for a lot of these drivers, including Noah Steele. Back this up real quick, see if we can't find out what happens to Noah Steele early in the going. More issues for Ali Fonseca. He's going to get sideways. This looks like the entry to turn number 1. Noah Steele also going to be involved in here. We may have to back this up just a smidge and get a better look of Noah Steele already sideways. Fonseca's going to come in there sideways as well. Another driver's going to get through, and a little bit more of a love tap from the 24 as they get moving in the right direction once again.
Back up to the front of the pack, we've got Thomas Green. Has a pretty sizable gap here on Cody Reed, probably about a second here looking at the relative. And, you know, Thomas is pretty strong at these road courses. We saw him do very well at Sonoma, battling, I believe that was Victor. I don't remember, but they had a really good battle there at Sonoma. But we know he's very good at these road courses here, and he's already got that sizable gap here on that number 25 machine.
That's Cody Reed in the rear view mirror of the number 3, just about a second back, a little bit under a second back for Cody Reed. Sam Garcia, the driver that we spoke to in the pre-race, up 3 positions, started 6th out here tonight, was able to avoid some of the early race melee that went on as these drivers currently work in lap number 4. We'll see lap number 5 on the tower next time they cross the start-finish line.
Let's see if we can back it up here, see if we can find some more battles going through the track. Tyler Reeves here behind Larry Yingling, trying to chase him down here on the front stretch. He seems to be trying to get a little bit of a sniff of the draft here, gains a little bit of time here, see if he's able to get a little bit better into the braking zone. Has a great middle of the corner. Larry seems to have the run off though, but still a great battle going for these two drivers here.
Tyler Wright running just on the back half of the top 5 right now as he sets his sights on the winner of Talladega Superspeedway, Larry Yingling, directly in front of him. Tries to chase him down here just a little bit. Up front, nothing has changed. We're keeping a close eye on it. If something happens there, we'll bring you there. Thomas Green still the race leader by about a second over Cody Reed. Sam Garcia still in the top 3. Now Tyler Wright setting up for a charge on Yingling. Wright's going to chase him down the backstretch, not be able to make any ground. Looked like he had a really good carousel right there, but Larry was able to maintain the position as these drivers complete lap number 5 out here this evening. About 3-4 car lengths between the 67 and the 13. Making our way down into turn number 1. Driver's going to see lap number 6 this time by, as also within camera shot here, making his way forward. Another driver on the move out here tonight. That's going to be Ryan Kelly in the 13. And if these two drivers get to racing up here, it's going to bring Ryan directly into this battle for a 4th place running position.
Yeah, I believe we haven't seen Ryan Kelly for a few weeks here at Trinity, but he seems to be back in full swinging here at Send Ben to the Glen 150. And he's out here in 6th position, you know, trying to hunt down as much as he can to get into that top 5.
Ryan Kelly, the winner of 3 races already this season, most recently the playoff opener at Japan over at Motegi, one of the drivers that had to give up his playoff berth and his hope for a championship, as he wasn't able to make, all the scheduled playoff races. So he gave up his playoff position to the next driver in points, and right now having a pretty good run early in the going of tonight's race here at the Glen.
And you see a lot of drivers are starting to spread out a little bit now. They're trying to find just their racing line, a line that they can perfect and stay consistent to throughout the race. And that's probably what we're going to see throughout most of this race here. A lot of drivers just going to be trying to keep it clean and finish the race, honestly, because if you don't finish a race here and you're in the playoffs, you know, that's a big chunk of your points missing.
It really is, especially with no stage points out here. If there were stage points, drivers would be given the option to pick up, well, call it 20 stage points if they won both stages and still finish last and still walk away with a pretty decent points night. Not the case here, as there's no stages in the Trinity Racing League. I tell you what, Cody Reed is slowly kind of closed into this lead here. He is now within a half a second. Last time we spoke about it, it was about a second between the race leader and second place, Cody Reed. Cody Reed cut that in about half, and he's also bringing Sam Garcia along with him.
And, you know, it seems to be a really dominant showing for these top three drivers here. Sam was telling us in the pre-race interview that he's really confident with Watkins Glen. He's ran it a lot of times, so we might see him start to creep up towards these two battling in the front. But, you know, we've already seen that relative countdown from Cody Reed to Thomas Green up front. And you know, that goes to show there's a lot of these drivers are just looking to settle in. You know, it's the start of the race is a little bit hectic, and once you get settled in, maybe that's where you can gain some more time. But yeah, you're going to see a lot of changes on the relative here in these next few laps.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, I tell you what, I mean, obviously the Trinity Racing League and the majority of NASCAR leagues, primarily oval based, but when you come here to a road course, whether it's Sonoma Raceway, whether it's Red Bull Ring, or whether it's here tonight at Watkins Glen, it takes a little bit of a different skill set in order to run well at a road course. And you can see the three drivers at the front of the field all within a second of each other. Fourth place is over 4.5 seconds back. I tell you what, Chris, Alex, what do you guys think is the skill set that's needed here at a road course to have the times and also run consistent?
You know, I'm glad you brought that over to me, because I was just going to bring up the fact that I think a very big chunk of the skill set here is going to be their shifting, as well as their throttle control through the corners, and making sure the car is able to rotate but not rotate too much, and still able to, you know, keep some speed through the corners. And here's a perfect example, perfect opportunity to show the mile per hour in gear for Thomas here. You're going to see him getting on the brakes, changing through the gears a ton, especially through the bus stop here. And you can see the speed difference, especially from the backstretch into the bus stop there. They're going from about 170 miles an hour down to 90 miles an hour, you know. And if you're too much on the brakes there, you're going to lock up. And that's a huge problem, especially for tire wear, as well as, you know, making the corner. And so that takes a different amount of skill set of being able to get on the brakes and slow the car down, but to the point where you're not locking the car up.
Something to add to that too, when it comes to comparing a track like this to your traditional style oval, your durability as a driver is really tested at a place like this compared to a normal oval. These tracks, over time they're rough on a driver, so you gotta be prepared for an event like this. How these drivers are going to be wore slap out by the end of this event. Another thing too is just how strong your equipment is. There's a lot of back and forth, technical turns, the bus stop too, for example, the curbing transitions. It will really strain not only you as a driver, but your equipment as a whole. So you got to make sure everything's in tip-top shape running at a place like this.
I like you bringing up that point, as I'm seeing Chris Stamper crashed here on the relative. Let's see if we can check that. just never seems to get it a little bit wrong here in turn 1, and unfortunately goes around. Able to keep it off the wall though. You know, if he got into the wall there, that'd have been a lot worse for his race. But I think getting off the wall there was definitely a great showing of driver skill, just being able to control that car.
Yeah, I can't tell if that curbing transition might have upset the back end of the car a little bit and made it go around. Or
that's definitely what it looked like. I think the rear end might have caught the you know how it flattens out at the top of the corner a little bit, might have caught that and turned them around a little bit.
Yeah, if you're not careful, those the curbs they'll sneak out and get you.
But going back to the point you brought up before about you know, the endurance of these drivers, you know, that is a really great point to bring up. Some of these road courses can really take a toll on you, especially with the amount of consistency and, you know, left right that you brought up, that can really take a toll on you, you know, your arms even as a sim driver. You know, if you have that force feedback up a little too much, you know, you might tire out the arms a little bit. But even being consistent for this many laps and this many corners it's really difficult, especially in these cars where, you know, they mostly want to just go left most of the time. But it's a great point to bring up.
Well, we talk about the endurance of these drivers, and I know Sam Garcia, possibly others. I know I myself participated in this year's running of the Daytona 24 in the GT3, GTP, and GTE, I suppose. And I believe Sam Garcia also participated in that. So you talk about having to be able to keep the car clean and underneath you for an extended period of time. There's no greater test than Daytona. I'm not sure where Sam finished in their race. I know that we didn't have the exact race that we wanted to, but Sam Garcia, one of the contenders in this year's running of the Daytona 24.
But yeah, he was if he's got that experience for driving the 24-hour, you know, he's probably going to have a lot of that endurance that we were just talking about here at Watkins Glen. And another driver with that is probably going to be Tyler Reef. With, I believe he is a driver in real life. I believe he drives the trucks in real life, you know, and that's a pretty big advantage here, especially on the sim with a lot of these drivers. You know, a lot of these drivers will have a lot of time in the sim, but, you know, real life is a little bit different. So having that experience and how these cars, knowing how these cars drive, might help you out a little bit here.
Lap or so ago, there was an issue for Aaron Krolick and Mark Labertone. I want to say this is likely an issue between the two drivers together. Oh my goodness. Up and over through the S's. Mark Labertone going to go over multiple times. Mike Miller's going to barely get by. We'll back that up. We'll grab another look at that, because huge issues for the driver, the number 42, and also Aaron Krolick as well. Let's see if we can grab another look at this incident. We're going to come into this time now from Aaron Krolick, and he's going to drive into that incident a little bit late there. And that's going to be a night ender for Aaron. One more look at Mark Labertone. He just hit something really weird there. It's like he hit something with the right side of the car on the inside wall. Something really weird happens there. All right, let's do this. I don't know what he hits there. It's almost like he hits something and the car kind of stops.
Yeah, I don't know it's hard to tell from some of these angles. I wonder if he got into the curbing just that tiny bit wrong and it upset the car, trying to, you know, cut that corner just as tight as you possibly can on some of these turns on a track like this. Oh, what a camera angle this is.
hope you took your Dramamine. All right, one more look, and then we'll get back to right side up around here. But Mark Labertone, not something that you usually see at a road course, a car going up and over. Big issues for the driver of the 42.
That's definitely going to be an extensive infield care center visit from that driver. Hopefully we'll hear from him at some point once he gets checked out and everything's okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that was just so surprising to me to even see here. Like you said, Tom, you don't really see that at road courses. Having a car go up and over like that, especially at Watkins Glen, is just so surprising. But to go back to the actual incident, what it looked like, I believe he got loose on entry, maybe caught the little bit of the curbing as he was trying to save the car, and that sent him right up at that outside wall. and I think that that I believe it was Aaron Kralik that hit him in the side, just made that car go over.
Yeah, and Watkins Glen has a way to bring out the big wrecks that you'll see at a regular super speedway versus a road course because of the high speeds. Drivers going about 130, maybe 140 miles an hour through that portion of the track where there was an incident there between the 42 and the 01. But nonetheless, Mark Labertone and Aaron Kralik, both with extensive damage down on pit road, and I do believe it's going to be night over for both of them. Got a little bit of a battle starting to heat up. This is going to be a battle for about the 7th place running position, as Scott Richter, name we haven't said a whole lot here this evening, he's starting to put some heat on the 13 of Kelly.
You know, I was trying to see if I could get a little bit of a talk with your Aaron Kralik or Mark Labertone, but I don't believe either of them are in the channels. But I wanted to see if I could get caught up with them to get a little bit of a insight on that crash. But I'm gonna see if we can get a little bit of contact there. But jumping back to the race here, Scott Ricard looking at the back end of Ryan Kelly here, trying to get the carousel right, see if he can get a little bit of run off the corner towards the 13. Seems to have a little bit of speed here going towards the hard left-hander, but not able to close the gap. Rightfully lets off before the entry of the corner. Doesn't want to upset anyone, especially with the car coming closer in the front of Larry Yingling. You know, you don't want to cause more issues than you have to. Scott Ricard touches the grass with the rear left of his car, gets a little bit loose into the corner, loses a lot of that time that he just gained on the 13 and the 67.
See Scott get a little loose there on the penultimate corner of this racetrack, and that's going to send him back a couple of car lengths. That's going to move our battle for issues for Tyler Reif, as Tyler is back on pit road. I saw him tow out of the corner of the camera shot there. See if we can grab a look with Tyler and see exactly what happens to the number 13. Tyler's just going to stop on an active track, so that's an interesting decision to make here underneath green flag conditions at Watkins Glen, and pull over and likely be done for the evening. Not sure what Tyler is down there doing. Looks like he is still on pit road and likely out of tonight's event.
Yeah, I do believe Tyler Reif has exited the event here. I believe he maybe just didn't want to participate anymore. You know, the road courses can be like tolling, like we said, so maybe didn't want to have to go through the endurance of this race. But back over here,
you still have to do it the right way, though, and you know, for respect for your competitors, you can't just stop on an active track. Bring the car around one more time and bring it down pit road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe a mechanical failure. In that in-car shot, it looked like the RPMs dropped very, drastically, almost like the car might have shut off or something.
Yeah, you know, maybe either like a wheel failure or the car shut off or something like that. Not sure, but definitely out of the race here tonight. But going back to this battle here between the 67 of Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly, and Scott Ricard, you know, they're all closing the gap on each other pretty well. They're all hungry for each other's positions. And Scott Ricard's closing that gap on Ryan Kelly here. Let's see if he can capitalize into the bus stop here.
Larry Yingling leads them through the left, and right section of the bus stop, as we've got a 3-car train making their way through the carousel right now, led by the 67 of Yingling, being trailed by Ryan Kelly, and then finally Scott Ricard as they make their way through turn number 7, the carousel, into the penultimate corner of the speedway. And I tell you what, we're a little bit past halfway in terms of what we expect these drivers to be able to make on fuel out here this evening. So drivers got to start to be thinking about fuel strategy out here tonight. When do you come down? And more importantly, can you short pit and still make the finish of tonight's race?
Yeah, and that's going to be the big question, if you're going to be able to short pit and make the end of the race, because if you want to catch anyone off guard, you know, if you short pit and still have the fuel to finish the race, you're able to kind of overlap somebody on the next lap if they end up going into pit lane, as long as you run the lap well enough. But that's a huge strategy here at road courses when it comes to pit strategy. You don't really see it's very different from an actual oval.
Well, you take a look at the timing. Drivers with the best lap for the majority of them in the low 113s, 113.2, 113.3, pretty much up and down the board. Drivers last time by for most of the field was in the mid 114s, some even dipping into the 115s So gonna be about 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap faster for fresh tires as Ryan Kelly takes a look to the left side of Larry Yingling into turn number 9. He's able to make that pass, and now it's gonna set up Scott Richter with an opportunity to do the same thing into 10.
Looks for the pass there, not able to get to the rear bumper, the 67, unfortunately. But he's gonna be still hunting here into turn 1, trying to close the gap as much as he can.
Larry looks like he may be struggling just a little bit here through the S's as Ryan Kelly has stepped away by about a car length, maybe 2, as they climb the uphill portion of this track through the S's. Now Scott Richter going to be the next driver up for grabs for a position to take away the 6th place running position from Larry Yingling. At the front of the field, nothing has changed. It's still Thomas Green. Cody Reed is still running in second, just 2.5 seconds behind the race leader. Sam Garcia still runs in third. New 4th place runner is Cedric Hunter in the top 5, is rounded out by Ryan Kelly.
Touching back on fuel strategy, it looks like, you know, a lot of these drivers have kind of, since the start of the race and many incidents, broken off into several smaller groups of cars that seem to have just been going hard at it since the drop of the green flag. So it's interesting to see what fuel strategy is going to bring and how it plays an outcome to the end of this race.
Well, it will, yeah, as you've got Nolan Hicks giving up a position there to Chris Stitz on the front stretch. Tries to give up the spot where it's going to affect him the least amount, and doing it in a straight line is the best way to do it. That's going to move our attention back over to the battle for the 6th place running position, one of the closer battles out on the track right now, and that is Larry Yingling being chased down by Scott Richter. But I tell you what, Alex, you just kind of spoke about it, and I kind of glossed over it, but if anybody can come down on lap number 28, maybe 29, get a lap or 2 advantage, that'll give them the track position, and it's also going to make their competitors have to run a little bit harder. It's a little bit easier to run your own race when you're the lead car.
Right, especially when you've got a pretty comfortable gap like Green does in the 3 car over Reed. You can be a little more relaxed, not have to run quite as hard, save a little on fuel in some certain areas of the track. But these other guys back here in pairs of 3, 4, and 5 battling it out. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of calls their team makes here on fuel strategy.
I got to think Cody Reed probably has one of the better opportunities here, running in second within that window of short pitting, as he's still within just about 2 seconds of the race leader. I think Sam Garcia is probably a little bit too far back, unless he was able to get 2 or 3 laps on these guys, but I'm not sure that the fuel window would allow it. But Cody Reed going to be in an interesting position here in the next 8 to 9 laps or so to see if he comes down and tries to undercut the race leader of Thomas Green, who's been out front for the majority of tonight's event so far.
Yeah, I do believe Sam Garcia is just a little bit too far back to have any of that pitch strategy come up. But like you said, Cody Reed is in a great position to capitalize on the 3, really just see what he does and see if he can do something different. And even on the racetrack, it's something he can do, being in 2nd place. You know, you could study the car in front of you, see where he's better, see where you're better, and see if you can capitalize on that.
Take a look at the last couple of lap times for Thomas Green and Cody Reed. Last time by, we'll actually switch this around so it's a little bit easier to read. Thomas Green last time by was about 0.2 faster than Cody was. Lap number 20, Cody was 1.5 faster. Lap number 19, about 0.5 faster for Cody Reed. So it's kind of flip-flopping as to which driver is the fastest of these two. But when it's Thomas Green who's faster, he's faster by a lot more than what Cody is.
And lap by lap is what matters here, especially at Watkins Glen. You know, just being able to be consistent and just making the gap either as short or as wide as you can over the span of laps is the best strategy here. But like you said before, a lot of these drivers do also have to worry about fuel, and that comes into a big strategy here at the 60 lap event here at the Glen.
It certainly will. We're going to see who's the first to hit pit road in the coming laps. Cody Reed losing a little bit of time. His job over the next couple of laps is to stay within striking distance, and that's going to be about a 2-second window. That is really his magic number in order for a short, an undercut on the pit road to make sense for Cody Reed. Now he's just under 3 seconds back, so some ground to gain for Cody Reed in the closing laps of this opening run, as Scott Richter has lost a little bit of time to Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly was able to step away a little bit for the 5th place running position. Let's take a jump around here, take a look at some of the names we haven't spoken about whole lot out here tonight. Got Mike Miller runs back in the top dozen, rounds out the top 12 for Mike Miller. Started 15th out here tonight, up 3 spots. Noah Steele up the road a little bit for Mike Miller. Noah Steele currently runs in the 11th place position. Had an issue early in the going down in turn number 1, as well as Ali Fonseca, who has had an interesting race here so far.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ali Fonseca down 9 positions from his starting position here in 10th position, and that's a lot of positions to say. But but Ali's not having the race that he really wants, and you know, ever since that first lap, that's unfortunately, if that happens early in the race, it kind of puts you in a mentality to where it's kind of like a struggle race, and the biggest thing for drivers, honestly, is the mentality. You gotta be forgetful as a driver sometimes to be able to make up some spots, and I don't know if Ali's struggling with that, but it's definitely something to think about.
And you can see the damage on the left front of that 24 and additional damage on the rear end of the 24. Typically at a road course, damage wouldn't be too much that you need to worry about, but here this is pretty much a super speedway, as drivers hitting speeds of up to 180 miles an hour through the fastest portions of this raceway, and the aerodynamics definitely going to come in to effect, as is the handling.
Going back to some other names that we haven't really talked about here tonight, we've got some of our biggest movers out here tonight. Brandon Gass up 5 positions here tonight at Watkins Glen. Seems like he started in around 18th and able to gain 5 positions here, as well as Cedric Hunter up here in 4th position, up from 9th position as a starting position here for that bright pink number 7 Hello Kitty machine. And I believe we've also saw Scott Ricard, and he's also up 5 positions as well. And those are gonna be some of our biggest movers out here tonight at Send Ben to the Glen 150.
Yeah, Brandon has been behind the 8 ball from the word go out here tonight. One of the 2 drivers, himself and Josh Sawyer, elected not to take a qualifying attempt. And, you know, Alex kind of mentioned it earlier, when drivers don't take a qualifying attempt, or they put themselves behind the 8 ball under the assumption that we're going to have a green to checkered flag race out here this evening, it puts you back early in the going. Brandon Gass able to make his way up to the 13th place running position. Next car for Brandon Gass is going to be Mike Miller. That's about 8 seconds up the road.
We're seeing Mike Miller run pretty consistently here, just trying to gain as much time as he can on the 8 of Noah Steele. And you know, it's kind of a hard position to be in with a little bit of a chunk of a gap in front of you. You know, you got kind of like your work cut out for you for the next few laps. It's kind of something you just got to focus on throughout the race, and that's kind of what it is for a lot of drivers, like you said, especially for ones that didn't take caution laps. And we're gonna jump over to Ali Fonseca here.
More issues for Ali is he's going to get into the left side grass on the backstretch here, and then there may be one additional incident getting down into the bus stop. He's going to get super sideways, and he's going to get a slowdown penalty for that. Looked like it was just a second or so slowdown penalty, but the issues continue for the former pole sitter out here tonight, Ali Fonseca.
Yeah, you got to thank all the damage he picked up early on in that car. It seems to be making it a little more on the unpredictable side to drive. He's definitely got his hands full tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly does, as he's working his way through the next handful of laps before he sees pit road for service for the first time this evening. And I think he's looking to get some good back on those good years here about halfway through the race. Another thing that we haven't spoken about here, Chris, tonight, drivers do get a bonus point for leading the halfway marker of the race. And right now, Thomas Green well within position to do that if he stays out to lead lap 30.
Yeah, we're creeping up on lap 30, like you said, and as long as he keeps that comfortable gap on Cody Reed, he's going to be able to gain that extra bonus point here. And at this point, with that gap between the 3 and the 25, I do believe that Cody Reed is not going to have that space to be able to undercut the 3 here. And it honestly just such a dominant showing for that 3 car out here tonight. We like we said before, we know he's so good at these road courses, and you know it's kind of expected, but it's just such a good showing for the number 3 out here tonight.
It really is. The winner from Sonoma Raceway back in the beginning of April, Thomas Green, was able to pick up that win, as well as Dover Motor Speedway. And I want to say he's got one more, but my eyes are deceiving me right now. So 2 wins already recorded for the driver, the number 3, as he continues his hunt. He comes in to tonight's race as the points leader over Cedric Hunter. He came in 7 points over Cedric Hunter, so looking to extend his points lead. Ali Fonseca came in here tonight 3rd in the points. Not the night that Fonseca wanted to have, as he currently runs 9th. Got the point for the pole position out here this evening, but from there it was a difficult go from the green flag.
I want to jump over here to Nolan Hicks. I see on the rel that he crashed a few laps ago. I wanted to see what ended up happening with him. It's that same spot that caught, I believe that was Clint Cox earlier. Also able to just keep it off the wall. Great driving there for him. But you know, it's the transition that Alex was talking about before with the curbing to the flat side. You know, it's catching some of these drivers off guard on these off guard on these worn tires, and it's making the car go around.
Nolan Hicks able to get that number 86 Toyota Supra pointed back up in the right direction as we get back over to the live action here at Watkins Glen International. Next time by, we're going to see lap number 29. The drivers begin to work just about halfway through tonight's Send Ben to the Glen 150. Want to give a shout out to all the drivers here of the Trinity Racing League that allows us to be here, and all the fans watching here every single Monday night. If you're enjoying tonight's race, we're happy to have you along with us here as we're about to approach the halfway marker. I tell you what here, Chris and Alex, this little battle between the 05, the 13, not so much the 67 anymore, but the 05 and the 13 cannot get away from each other out here tonight. That is for sure. They have been nose to tail for the majority of tonight's race, and as we look at it now, no different than what it was last time that we saw it. Scott Rickard still trying to chase down Ryan Kelly, who's about a half a second up the road here from the 05.
Yeah, he's trying to jump that gap back up to the 13. He's trying to close it up from the gap that he got on the 67 of before. And you know, this battle has been brewing the entire race, like we were just saying. And even though it was 3 cars before, it's settled down to 2 cars, but it definitely doesn't mean the action's over for these two.
Definitely doesn't mean that the action's over, Alex. I guess I've got a question for you, Alex. Is when you're chasing a driver all race long, does it frustrate you more, or does it motivate you to run better, knowing that you've got somebody that's within reach but just out of grasp?
I guess it can go both ways, as we see some drivers finally start to make their pit stop here. I guess it can go both ways, because you know, I don't know. I mean,
don't worry, I do this to Chris all the time. It's like my favorite part that I do here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network.
It's an interesting question to answer, but it definitely, as the following driver, well, even for the leading driver as well, you kind of play with each other, figure out each other's strengths and weaknesses at certain parts of the track. And maybe even use that information to better yourselves what is the driver I'm chasing doing in these certain parts getting away from me versus, the parts of the track where you gain time on the driver you're chasing.
It allows you to really see where the opportunities for improvement and where they're running a little bit better. Sam Garcia is going to hit pit road on lap number 30. We have officially crossed the halfway marker of tonight's race, and Thomas Green awarded the halfway bonus point of the evening. That is, of course, sponsored by Apex 50. Sam Garcia, the halfway bonus sponsor here in the Trinity Racing League. If you're looking for a fun and relatable sim racing content, SG_racing has you covered. Check out Sam Garcia's Apex 50 on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and the Twitch. Sam Garcia on pit road from the 4th place position. Comes down on here, having a pretty good run out here tonight. Started 6th, currently runs in 4th as the field comes down pit road.
You got to it just before I could. I was just about to say that halfway bonus sponsor, but yeah, thank you to Apex 50 for making sure that Cyber Thunder gets out here on a Monday night every week and able to cover these races for you guys.
The majority of the field on pit road last time. 2 drivers yet to hit pit road. That's the current race leader of Cedric Hunter that we're taking a look at right now. The only other driver not to hit pit road is Larry Yingling. Thomas Green has come down pit road, and he's got about a 7-second gap to Cody Reed. And I expect that we see Cedric Hunter come down this time, and it certainly appears that we'll see that Toyota Supra come down. That's going to pass the race lead tentatively over to Larry Yingling, unless he comes down this time as well.
I was just about to say, I wouldn't be surprised if we're about to see him come down this time, going into pit lane, especially at this point of the race. A lot of these drivers are just going to want to get in and get out as quick as they can and maintain their positions on track.
So the entire field has come down pit road. Thomas Green has retaken the race lead. Cody Reed not far behind. He'll move up to 2nd through this round of green flag pit stops here for the Send Ben to the Glen 150. Too many N's in tonight's race name, but in the Send Ben to the Glen 150, Cody Reed retakes 2nd place. I tell you what, we take a look at the upcoming schedule here for the Trinity Racing League. Just 3 races remaining, including tonight. Watkins Glen here tonight for 60 laps. Next week at Phoenix Raceway. And then our championship event at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So just 3 events remaining here. And these drivers got to start to be thinking about a championship to come at Las Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Alex touched on it a little earlier about it being so close to the end of the season, especially having a road course out here at the end of the season. It's kind of like a wild card. And I know NASCAR likes to do that in real life, but give a little bit of a chance to people who feel like they're a little more comfortable on the road courses or can have a little bit of an advantage. But it's definitely difficult on a course like this out here tonight.
Just past halfway out here this evening from the Trinity Racing League. We're going to step away for just a moment or two. We're going to keep all the action here from Watkins Glen International. We'll be back in a moment or two.
tremendous contact very nearly. He just to the outside line. He breaks so much later. Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
We welcome you back here to the Send Ben to the Glen 150. We see 25 laps to go out here this evening. While we were gone, we had issues for 2 separate drivers. Chris Stamper was the first one. Joshua Sawyer also had a separate issue. We'll grab a look with the issue with Chris Stamper here first.
Man, it looks like he braked a little too late getting into that bus stop. May have locked up the tires a little bit and just bent that thing around.
And it looks like kind of a similar issue for the 19 of Josh Sawyer here. Not at the same part of the track, but definitely had a little bit of the same type of issue. Got a little bit loose and kept the
kept it clean. Very dangerous part of the track to be stopped in the middle of a blind corner there in the S's, but thankfully everyone got out of there with no problem.
Yeah, very difficult spot for those drivers to make their way back onto the racing surface, but they were able to do so. Looked like maybe Nolan Hicks almost got a little bit of damage, but was able. Well, I don't know. Nolan Hicks is down here on pit road. Let's grab another look here of this incident from of Josh Sawyer's, and let's take a look. All right, so there's Josh Sawyer. Nolan Hicks is coming through here. I saw Nolan Hicks at the very end of that camera shot. I'm not sure if Nolan's going to be able to get through here because he's going to... Yeah, I guess he is. He's just on pit road right now.
Oh, no.
Probably got some damage on that.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see the right front tire is broken there.
Oh, man. Yeah. He tagged him pretty hard trying to snake by.
That whole right front, yeah, that looks like the toe link or something is just gone. He's got to get that down pit road.
Oh, yeah. And,
those things are very fragile these days.
They certainly are. Nolan Hicks currently on pit road. An unfortunate incident for the driver. The number 86 was having a decent run out here tonight. And back up at the front of the field, we see 23 laps to go. It'll be 22 laps to go next time by. Thomas Green sees the start-finish line.
Let's take our attention back to Ali Fonseca and Noah Steele. They're going to be having one of the closest battles on track here. And, you know, even though it's back here in for 10th position, you know, all the battles matter here, especially if you're going for some points in the playoffs. And you know, Ali had a very unfortunate start to his race, but he's slowly climbing back up, trying to get as much time as he can back to where he should be. But, you know, the damage on that car is definitely a killer right now.
Riding on board with the driver, the number 8, that is Noah Steele. Currently runs in the 9th position. Ali Fonseca has had a night that he would like to forget out here at Watkins. Glen has come down, got some damage fixed on that number 24 machine. But Fonseca looks to grab a spot away from the driver, the 8, that Noah Steele directly in front of him, and get another point here again. Fonseca came into tonight's race just 9 points back. Unfortunately for Ali Fonseca, he came back 9 points off of Thomas Green. Fonseca's going to take a big look to the inside. Going to be a little bit of contact there with Noah Steele. Both of these drivers going to continue, but difficult pass made for these two drivers right here. Fonseca is able to make his way around Noah Steele. A little bit of, hey, how do you do, coming through turn 10, give a 10th place, a 9th place running position to Fonseca and 10th to Noah.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes a pass like that can be needed here at a road course. Even though it's a little bit like, I would say maybe disrespectful or aggressive, just sometimes that little bit of contact is what you need to be able to get around the car in front of you that might be slowing you down, especially trying to be consistent on some laps.
Well, it's difficult to make the passes here at a road course. It's almost like you need to set them up, especially when you got a little bit of damage there. You may be hindered on the long straightaways here, as now we see Noah Steele all over the back bumper of the 24. They're going to make their way out of the carousel down the backstretch. Fonseca leads the charge of the two drivers. This is a battle for the 9th place running position. Fonseca tries to step away from Noah Steele after making contact with him last time by in this upcoming corner.
Yeah, and we saw it. Go ahead.
Fonseca had a little trouble there in the bus stop. I don't know if y'all noticed. That could have gone sour really quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to touch on. To be honest, I think Ollie might have got a little bit of a even got a slowdown when he got off track there in the bus stop, and I saw him take a very slow middle of the corner there on the carousel and gave I believe that's Noah Steele a little bit of time to catch up. And you know, you got to wonder if he used the slowdown a little bit to his advantage, maybe slow down the car behind him as well to you know, permeate that gap.
Looks like Steele got in the wall a little bit there in the S's.
Another time around through the bus stop, the very technical section of this racetrack, Ollie Fonseca has been able to step away just a little bit over here. Another battle happening up towards the front of the field. This is a battle between the 05 Scott Richter and Ryan Kelly, the battle that is not going away all evening.
At all, and they're still sticking to it. You know, Scott Ricard's hungry. He wants to be in that top 5. You know, that's a great place to be in, even mentally. You know, just outside. You know, it's kind of like sticking on your mind. You're almost there, but even if you don't win the race, finishing in the top 5 is a great mental standing to be at.
19 drivers made their way to Watkins Glen International out here this evening. 15 of them are still running, with the first one out currently. Nolan Hicks had an issue a couple of laps ago with, I believe it was Josh Sawyer, who was sitting sideways in the S's. 15 cars still out on the track right now, a couple of cars a lap down as they continue tonight's race, as we see inside of 20 laps to go here at the Trinity Racing League.
It looks like Sam Garcia might be a little bit hungry for that 3rd position from Cedric Hunter here. You know, he's been gaining a little bit on the relative. I've been seeing it a little bit on the relative. Maybe not as much as I thought, but I thought I saw them the time closing up a little bit between them. But you know, Sam's going to be hungry to get into that top 3. Like I said before, with the top 5, you know, a podium's just a great place to be, points wise as well as a mental standing. So he's going to be hungry for that top 3.
Well, Sam Garcia comes in here tonight in an interesting position. He is the only driver inside the top 10 in points without a single top 5 this season. Only 4 top 10s through 14 races that he started, so this would be a season best finish for the driver, the number 50, is if he is able to hang on to this position in the closing laps of tonight's event. But he may do one better because he's got Cedric Hunter not too far up the road last time by. Cedric Hunter was just a little bit faster, about a 10th faster, but Sam Garcia staying within striking distance of a podium. Turn our attention back over here to Ryan Kelly and Scott Richter once again. These two drivers, when all else has failed out here tonight, these two drivers have provided a great battle for us to follow. Scott Richter is about as close as he's been to the 13 all night, and he's going to take a look to the right side of the 13 on the entry into turn number 1. Ryan Kelly going to give him the position through turns 1, and they're going to make their way up through 2, 3, and 4 through the S's.
Yeah, honestly, smart thinking for the 13 of Ryan Kelly to just give him the position there in the corner in turn one. Turn one is a really hard corner to defend from the outside unless you're really running hard on the outside wall, and you know it's kind of smart for him to just give it up and try to hunt it down in the next few laps, especially with 18 to go. You can still be a little bit patient here, not too patient to where you're losing time, but you can definitely be a little bit patient and stalk your prey, hunt him down a little bit more for the next few laps.
Now you can kind of see the difference in speed between Scott Richter and Ryan Kelly. Is only a half a lap has gone by, and you can already see the visual distance between these two drivers that Scott has been able to extend the lead over Ryan Kelly. So Ryan Kelly, Scott Richter having a great battle out here this evening. But I think Ryan Kelly finally said, go on ahead, see if you can chase down Sam Garcia, who's about 6 seconds up the road here for Scott.
And 6 seconds is a long task ahead of you, especially with only 17 to go. So he's going to have to see if he can be absolutely perfect in every place he can on this track.
No opportunities for mistakes, that is certainly true, and 17 laps to go around here is a long way. He's got about 6 seconds to close the distance, but speaking of closing the distance, Sam Garcia still trying to chase down Cedric Hunter through here as they make their way into the bus stop and into the carousel. Sam Garcia able to close up just a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of all you need here at Watkins Glen is you chop off a quarter of a second, a quarter of a second, a quarter of a second, and before you know it, you're right to the rear bumper of the car in front of you.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying a few laps ago about, you know, just being consistent and constantly just running a better lap and chopping away at the time slowly but surely throughout the race. And it's kind of just how it is at road courses.
I'd say the only thing that makes me nervous if I'm the leading driver in a battle like this, if I'm Cedric Hunter, the closer that 50 car gets to me, the more I'm looking in my rearview mirror, the more opportunities for mistakes, the more time spent driving out the rearview mirror. So possibilities to miss your marks, and that's kind of what's gotten you to a third place run so far, is just consistency and hitting your marks. So if Sam Garcia gets a little bit closer, look for opportunities for Cedric Hunter to maybe miss a corner entry, and that would be all Sam Garcia needs to take a podium finish away from Hunter. At the front of the field, nothing has changed. Thomas Green has actually extended his race lead over second place Cody Reed now by a commanding 11-second gap between first and second place. Cody Reed runs in second, Cedric Hunter runs in third. The top five is rounded out by Sam Garcia, Scott Richter, as they run right now, as we see 15 laps to go here from tonight's race.
You know, going back to the difference in driver skill that you're talking about between a road course and the ovals, I kind of want to bring us to a cockpit camera here with Thomas Green and just take a peek at and see how he's driving. I'll bring up the gears as well.
Here, Thomas Green very smooth on the throttle, running in the third gear right now. He's going to hit fourth gear not too far down to this backstretch. It's going to bring him down into the left-hander of turn number 9. He's got a lap car up the road just a little bit, but no challengers for Thomas Green, who has led almost every lap out here tonight through the round of green flag pit stop. Started second on the board. Early calamity allowed Thomas Green to step away with the race lead, and he has never looked back.
Yeah, and going back to what I was saying earlier about just such a dominant showing for the 3 car here out tonight, just a big 11-second gap here. You know, you don't really see that much at road courses. You know, sometimes you'll see up to like, you know, 5-6 second gap, but 11 second is really dominant. So just crazy for the number 3 here.
Here, Thomas Green, you want nothing than the next 20 minutes to run along without any sort of race incident. that hinders your race out here tonight. Now, he's got a little bit of room to breathe. If something happens in front of him, he's able to get out of the gas and allow things to happen as they may. But Thomas Green looks to close out this one. This would be his 3rd win of the season and 1st of the playoffs here tonight at Watkins Glen. And it would, more importantly, extend his points lead next week into Phoenix.
Yeah, and having that point gap is going to be definitely something important coming into the playoffs here. If you can be dominant here and then be dominant at Phoenix as well, you know, you're kind of set. You have a great chance at the chip here for this league. So, you know, as long as he can stay dominant here tonight, which it definitely seems like he's going to, and then, you know, have a consistent, clean race at Phoenix, it's probably going to be in a great position here.
Thomas Green makes his way through the S's one more time as he's going to catch. Is that might be the 0-3 of Clint Cox right there, driver we haven't said whole lot out here tonight, already 1 lap down.
I believe that's Chris Stamper. Yeah, they're identical liveries.
They all look the same. Clint Cox, Chris Stamper, what have you. Chris Stamper gonna lose a lap here to the race leader, as Thomas Green this time by gonna see a dozen laps of racing to go out here tonight from the Trinity Racing League. I tell you what, Chris and Alex, I mean, next week at Phoenix Raceway, drivers going to be going to a very different style track. And Chris, you kind of alluded to it a moment ago, but having a little bit of an advantage where Phoenix is kind of a hybrid between a speedway and a short track. And with that dog leg over there in Arizona, it allows for some opportunities for some wrecks to happen, and going in there with a little bit of a points lead and a little bit of a buffer will certainly do him well, as we see just 2 races to go in the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And Phoenix, like you said, is one of those tracks that's kind of like a hybrid, and it has a very niche driving style to it. And me and Alex have talked about that before about Phoenix. It can be an interesting track, especially if somebody is very impatient or multiple people are impatient. You know, like if you send it down there on that dog leg a little too hard, you could really have some issues into turn 1. And turn 1 being just so technical of a corner, it really puts just a wrench in some plans for people at that track. And like Alex was saying before about Watkins Glen, it might require a lot of preparation.
Yeah, it really could. Phoenix Raceway, the recently reconfigured Phoenix Raceway, that's what they'll be racing next week for 185 laps out there in the desert. So that will certainly be a good time. We're going to be bringing you all the calls and all the championship action all the way up until championship night. And then finally, we crown a champion in just 2 weeks' time at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where I don't know if they could have picked a better championship track than Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Las Vegas is a top-tier racing facility that provides a lot of multi-groove racing and also some aerodynamic racing as well. So going to be a lot of fun to watch that event here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network.
Another track that I really wish that some leagues would put in as their, say, championship race is Chicagoland. Like, and you and I know we were there a few nights ago, just messing around, practicing. But Chicagoland can provide some really good racing, and I know you said you can't think of a better track, but I think Chicagoland might be one of them.
Well, Chicagoland making its return to the NASCAR circuit here this season in the 2026 NASCAR campaign, and I know a lot of people are highly anticipating that return. It's going to be the first time that we see the next-gen vehicles on the Chicagoland Speedway. So a lot of great racing coming up here as we see 10 laps to go out here tonight at Watkins Glen.
And Thomas Green is already closing that gap on Ale Fonseca here, and you know, he's definitely gonna he's gonna get past, obviously, but it's just crazy to see that he's catching the rest of the pack so fast compared to, you know, Cody Reed or Cedric Hunter. It's just, I guess I'm glazing, but he's just, it's a great showing tonight.
Absolutely dominating performance out here tonight for the race leader, Thomas Green. A 10-second lead over second place, Cody Reed. Cedric Hunter still runs in third. Looks to get back-to-back podiums, as last week he went to victory lane when we were at Kentucky Speedway, so coming off of a great run and win last week at Kentucky, looks to get another podium. Sam Garcia currently runs in fourth, still trying to chase down. Sam Garcia hasn't really gone anywhere in terms of forwards or backwards in relation to the 7 in front of him. Scott Richter got around Ryan Kelly about 10-15 laps ago, but has been unable to close the gap on fourth place Garcia. Got a little bit of battle happening towards the rear end of the field, and it's going to be Fonseca and Brandon Gass. It's going to be a battle for position here, just outside the top 10. Battle for the 11th place. Brandon Gass is able to get around Ali Fonseca, as Ali Fonseca is going to lose another spot to the 11th place runner of Brandon Gass. Brandon Gass, one of the bigger movers of tonight.
Yeah, and I do believe actually he is the biggest mover out here tonight. We were talking about a few ties before between 5 positions gains, but Brandon Gass is up 7. You know, he's being consistent. He's the consistency that I was talking about before. You know, just being as good as you can through the laps, just chopping away one second at a time, even if it might be a tedious process, and even if it might not be for a crazy position.
Issues for Sam Garcia on lap number 52 here. Let's take a look for Sam Garcia. Big issues for the 50 and the 53. We're gonna have to back this up, find out exactly what happens. I saw also the 53 in here, so I gotta wonder. Oh, Chris Stamper takes a very odd line getting into the bus stop here, and let's kind of take a slow look at this. On the entry to the bus stop, Chris Stamper almost clips the number 7 of Cedric Hunter. You see Cedric having to go through the grass, and Sam Garcia absolutely nowhere to go en route to his first top 5 finish of the season. An absolute heartbreaker here.
Yeah, and that honestly caused issues for the 7 and the 50. I don't know if you caught that the 7 definitely had issues coming through the corner after having to avoid the 53. And then Sam Garcia honestly just cleaned him out. He had nowhere to go. There's nothing he could do, but it's just really unfortunate for being in, I believe that was second and third place, third and fourth place, and now you're gonna have to maybe bring that back to pit lane and see if you can even continue the race.
And you can see Sam Garcia down here on the entry to what I believe is the entry to the boot configuration. Has to tow back to pit road, so late race incident for Sam Garcia after running inside the top 5 for the majority of tonight's race. That's got to be a heartbreaker for the 50 to be going through and running a really great race and just getting collected in the wrong place, wrong time there.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Such a tough break for those two lead lap cars having a good battle. It looked like the lap car may have just been trying to keep out of the way there in the bus stop entry, but such a tricky corner just to navigate normally. But that's looks to me he tried to stay low to stay out of their way, but just messed up the entry on his own, and unfortunately just collected the other two.
Yeah, that relegates Sam Garcia down onto pit road, as he currently sits on pit road, 13th place on pit road, and it's got a couple of spots to lose because Josh Sawyer just about 2 laps behind, so if Sam Garcia can't get out there, he will lose that spot. And to add insult to injury, Chris Stamper still out on track and also just about 2 laps behind Sam Garcia, so both of those spots up for grabs here in the closing laps. Nolan Hicks may have an opportunity to pass Sam Garcia if Sam's unable to get back out as well.
Yeah, and you got to wonder how much of that damage actually is affecting Sam Garcia, or how much he has to get repaired down there on pit lane. And it looked to be a lot, especially with the caliber of how hard they made contact. But it's just real unfortunate for Sam out here tonight. But shifting our attention back over to Scott Ricard, trying to gain some time on Cedric Hunter. I saw it before on the relative, but I didn't know if I should switch it over. They didn't seem to be close enough, but he seems to be cutting that gap down closer and closer every lap. Ali Fonseca might have added a little bit of a wrench in there for that plan for Scott Ricard. Got in his way a little bit and had to get around him, but you know, it's just like I was saying before, you kind of have your work cut out for you, especially with 5 to go. You're wanting to gain as much time as you can, be as consistent as you can, and just run the car as great as you can. And that's really what's going to be going through Scott Ricard's mind here, trying to gain positions here, or gain time here on Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, and as we see the high five over the speedway next time by, every lap a little bit less of an opportunity for Scott Richter to get up there and try to take a podium finish away from last week's winner, and that is Cedric Hunter. They've got just about 0.6 of a second between the two of these drivers right now. Plenty of time to close that gap here in the closing laps, but they need to be steady Eddie between these two drivers as they make their way through the final 5 laps of tonight's event.
Steady Eddie is a great new one, Tom.
Why, thank you.
I don't know if Cedric took any damage there with that incident in the bus stop, but with a slide like that, you got to think his tire that had to have toasted his tires some. So that's probably going to make holding the card off just that much harder as these laps wind down.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look. Cedric Hunter through the grass of the bus stop, and he was a lot more sideways than I realized at first glance. I think we were more focused on the 50 and the 53, but you can see just how sideways the 7 was. And I believe he's going to get out of there okay, but he definitely hurt the tires on there, Alex, and a lot of times that could hurt it just as much, and that will make holding off the 0-5 more of a challenge than it needed to be, as now Scott Richter last time by a little bit faster for the 0-5. He was about a 10th faster than the 7.
Yeah, and you know, it's definitely going to wear the tires, put a little bit of flat spot in them for the number 7, and might be a little bit harder for the 7 to keep it under him through these corners, and might give Scott Ricard some time to close that gap.
Josh Sawyer does the gentlemanly thing, and he's going to let the lead lap vehicles go on the front stretch. That allows the battle for the 3rd place finishing position to continue between Hunter and Cedric and Scott Richter for 3rd place. At the front of the field, Thomas Green, he has now extended his lead from 11 seconds to 13 seconds. An absolutely dominating performance here tonight at Watkins Glen. Thomas Green won the road course at Sonoma Raceway in very difficult fashion. As let's see if I can grab. He led 46 out of the 50 laps, but I can tell you, it certainly did not feel like he led 46 out of the 50 laps, as he was nose to tail with Vincent Sora for about 49 of those laps at Sonoma.
Vincent Sora, I knew I had a V name. I knew he was a V name. I feel bad for not remembering it. So yeah, I just had to to jump in and have to say his name. Vincent Sora. That's who he was battling at Sonoma.
This time by, we see 3 laps to go here tonight for the Send Ben to the Glen 150 from the Trinity Racing League from the upstate Finger Lakes region of New York State. Thomas Green looks to pick up another win and continue his dominance through the playoffs and continue his run to a championship in 2 weeks' time at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He's got Mike Miller just up the road, that number 99. Last car on the lead lap currently runs in 9th place. Next car past Mike Miller will be Noah Steele if he does get there, but I do believe Noah Steele will likely stay on the lead lap in the closing laps of tonight's race. Thomas Green going to make his way around the lap vehicle of Mike Miller. Mike Miller pulls down to the inside, allows the race leader to go, as we're going to see popsicle sticks over the speedway here from Watkins Glen. Just 5 miles of racing to go out here tonight. Thomas Green leads now by 14 seconds over Cody Reed. Cedric Hunter runs in 3rd. Scott Richter in 4th. The top 5 is currently rounded out by Ryan Kelly. But as we have seen multiple times out here tonight, this race far from over, as we've seen some lap vehicles cause an issue for some lead lap vehicles, and Thomas Green just hoping to make his way through the next 5 miles of racing without any sort of how-do-you-dos here in tonight's race.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's really going to have that here. You know, that comfortable 14-second gap is something you can really lean on for these next 2 laps. As long as you don't loop the car, you should really be all right.
Well, this time by, he's going to see the white flag from Watkins Glen. One more right-hand turn, and Barney the flagman going to bring us down to the white flag lap here from tonight's event. Thomas Green is the first one to see it, and he's got 2.5 miles of racing to go at Watkins Glen. An absolutely great performance out here tonight for Thomas Green as he looks to pick up his 3rd win of the season. No more mistakes for Thomas Green, and he's going to extend his points lead and grab another checkered flag out here tonight. Makes his way through the S's for the final time into the bus stop.
As he does, uses up all the track on the backstretch, as all these drivers have been throughout the race. Cuts it real close into the bus stop. Yeah, into the bus stop here, and able to keep it clean into the garrison.
Last time through the sweeping carousel, and that's going to be Thomas Green. He's going to see 2 more corners before he picks up a checkered flag out here tonight. Cody Reed still runs in second, just under 15 seconds back. He's got 1 more left, 1 more right-hander to become a 3-time winner this season in the Trinity Racing League. Chris, bring us to the checkered flag from the Sunbend to the Glen 150.
We've got Barney waving, and here he brings out that checkered flag here as Thomas comes across the line going left and right. Here he goes, grabs that win here at the Sunbend to the Glen 150.
Cody Reed's going to come home with a 2nd place finish as he takes his final corner of the evening. He's going to come around and take away 2nd place. Cedric Hunter tries to hold on to a 3rd place run as Scott Richter tries maybe to take it away, but not just yet. Thomas Green down here in turn number 1, celebrating out here tonight at Watkins Glen as he picks up his 3rd win of the season here this evening, and he's gonna have a little fun drifting this around the S's.
As he does, you know, that's a great celebration. I love when the road course drivers just they're able to control their cars so well to where they can just do this, just to have some fun, drift around the track, just have a little bit of fun.
Shades of Carson Hocevar. I'm impressed by Barney's. Quick draw flag changing speed. Did y'all see that? How quick he went from that white flag to that checkered flag for green there. That was impressive. I don't think I could do that.
That was pretty impressive, to be honest.
I'm sure there's going to be some words about that in pit road.
Thomas Green makes his way around, and he's going to celebrate a win here tonight. We're going to step away. We're going to grab your podium finishers out here this evening. When we come back, we'll grab your top 3 and a word with each of them. All right. All right, we'll go 3-2-1 out here tonight. Third place finisher is going to be the driver, the number 7, Cedric. Last week we spoke to you for different reasons. Tonight we're talking to you for another podium finish out here tonight at the road course of Watkins Glen. Good evening to you, Cedric.
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going all right. I tell you what, 60 laps here at the Watkins Glen is not for the weak. And you were able to come out here with the third place finish and carry that momentum from Kentucky. How you feeling after the 60 laps?
Not great, to be honest. I woke up this morning with a really bad just back pain, leg pain. I think I'm just battling like a sciatica nerve thing. So, not gonna lie, I've been kind of struggling for the last 2 hours in this chair, and I can't wait to go lay down. But hard fought, man. We put our heads down. Didn't qualify as good as we wanted to, but got fortunate with some of the faster guys there at the beginning having problems, and you know, picked off a few as we went on, and got lucky to secure third place. It's good for the points. I didn't want to let Thomas get too far out. I mean, he's already pretty far out there in points, but I still have to give myself a chance here in the last 2 races to, you know, for a chance at a title run. Love Thomas, but man, I'm praying that he gets wrecked out in one of these 2 races.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that. He came in tonight with a 7-point advantage over you in the points, and I tell you what, you guys have some grade A admins here. Nick Crawford already gave me the updated points. You go into Phoenix next week 10 points back. How do you approach Phoenix and Vegas here these next 2 weeks to try to close that gap there?
Well, for Phoenix, it's just fingers crossed that I'm not horrible like I am there normally. So I'm not the greatest at that track, and I'm sure that Thomas is probably be pretty good. So again, I just have to kind of hope that he gets involved in stuff. In any normal circumstance, I wouldn't want that for him. He's a great guy, but man, I wish him nothing but bad luck. These last 2 races, and when it comes to Vegas, I love that track. I'm hoping that we can get lucky and hopefully get ourselves another second win of the season there. You know, it's really solidify the season on the right foot, and if we can get a championship out of it too, then that'd be great.
All right, well, Cedric Hunter, obviously you picked up the win last week in Kentucky. Tonight you get another podium. You carry the momentum here into next week at Phoenix Raceway. Before we let you go debrief and prepare for Phoenix, I'm going to open up the floor. Anybody you want to say hello to back home?
Yeah, huge shout out to my beautiful wife for putting up with all these shenanigans with me racing on a couple of nights a week. Shout out to you guys for doing a great job in the broadcast booth, all the fans out there for tuning in, all the drivers for putting on a good show on a weekly basis, and you obviously didn't get the finishing result that he wanted to, but shout out to Samuel Garcia, man. He gave me a run for my money tonight. It was really, really fast and was right behind me, and we got caught up with some lap traffic. So he obviously got a DNF, but should have finished in the top 5. He had that thing locked up. So great run for him. And again, good job to Cody and Thomas. They were way faster than me tonight, and I didn't really have anything for them. But hopefully we could change that next week.
All right, that's our third place finisher out here tonight. Cedric Hunter, driver the number 7, comes home with the podium finish out here this evening.
And that brings us to Cody Reed, our second place finisher out here tonight. Cody Reed, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good to hear, man. How was that test of attrition here at Watkins Glen? I know it was a little bit of one.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I'm very sweaty and hot right now, and I cannot wait to take a shower.
Yep.
It's pretty bad. But I don't know. I'm pretty pumped. I haven't had like a proper good race like that in quite a while, like excluding super speedways. So even though I wish I would have finished a spot higher, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, man, you seem to have a pretty good middle of the race around 20 to 40, I believe. And you seem to be like cutting that gap on Thomas for a while, but fortunately he was just able to just drive away after the pit entrance, I know, but it's still a great showing for that number 25 machine out here tonight. Is Watkins Glen like one of those tracks that you feel is one of your strong points, or do you feel like the road courses are not really a strong suit for you? I mean, clearly it got to be something when coming in second.
Yeah, I would say Watkins Glen is probably the track that I'm like known for being good at. Just like I'm pretty decent at road courses just in general. I mean, obviously others are better, like Thomas and and Vincent Sora whenever he runs. You know, but I always seem to have some pretty bad luck in qualifying that sets me back. I know at like Sonoma, I had a bad qualifying run, and I ended up getting whipped around by a curb at one point in the race randomly, and that kind of set me back. Red Bull, I was gunning for a top 5 there, and hit my incident penalty and had to drive through on pit road on the last lap, so that put me dead last on the lead lap. So just kind of a lot of bad luck, but I'm generally a pretty good road course racer, but especially at Watkins Glen. Like the league that came before this league, the ISRC Truck Series, that's where I got my first league win ever at Watkins Glen. Due to a little bit of hectic driving with some other people up front, but which I was kind of hoping for tonight. I was kind of hoping for some chaos up front, but Thomas stayed clean and just pulled away from me all night. But I do really like Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's just one of those tracks, man. One of the great road courses here in Trinity and just NASCAR in general. But congrats on the second place finish, man. Is there anyone you want to say thank you to? You want to shout out anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out you guys for putting on a great show. I'd like to shout out the admins. I'd like to shout out anybody watching. You're awesome. I'd like to shout out my dad, who's rooting for me. He always watches these races. I'd like to shout out my teammate tonight, Ollie. Was pretty pumped about that pole and got turned on the first lap, so I felt really bad about him getting turned there. He definitely deserved a better race than how it actually went for him tonight. So shout out to him.
All right, Cody, I'm going to send you down to your team, let you celebrate a little bit. Thanks for talking to us up in the booth, and you have a good night, man.
Awesome. Thank you, you too.
All right, that's going to move us over to our race winner here this evening, and that is going to be the driver who finished 3rd last week at Kentucky, 2nd at Motegi in race number 1 of the playoffs, and tonight you get your first win of the playoffs, Thomas, 60 laps at Watkins Glen. That's not for the weak, and you made it look easy.
That was... I feel very weak right now. That was a super long race, a lot of fun. I mean, just had an absolute blast. I love this track. This and New Hampshire are the closest tracks to me, so I kind of claim them as like a home track. So this was one that I've never gotten a win at, and it was really cool to get that. And yeah, I love this track. I mean, the character of it, everything about it, just the atmosphere of the track is really cool. And yeah, I was really skeptical about what was going to happen. After winning Sonoma, I felt confident, but at the same time, I know you can't always be too confident going into a race like that. And I knew qualifying was going to be everything, and I feel absolutely gutted for Ollie. What happened lap 1 in the bus stop? I mean, that was just I'm not exactly sure what happened. I still haven't gotten to go back and look at it yet, but yeah, it seemed like maybe he just hopped a curb and then we kind of got glued together. It's kind of a thing in iRacing right now where if rear end fenders make contact with the front end fenders, they kind of get glued together, and then it's never anything good after that. But I just feel really bad for him. He 100% was going to be in contention. I think we both were going to pull away. I think he probably had better pace than me, so I just feel terrible for him. But yeah, nonetheless, just a great result. And for the chase, I mean, that's first, second, and third is you can't really ask for much better than that. So definitely happy with that too.
You absolutely can. We take a look at Phoenix next week, and then Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where we crown a champion, whoever it may be, in the Trinity Racing League. I tell you what, Thomas, I'm usually used to leagues running modified fuel here, so I can't really tell you the last time I saw a full 30-lap run on tires out here tonight at Watkins Glen. But you guys, for the majority of the field, everybody pit on or around lap number 30. Exactly how much did the tires fall off through the first and second run there on those 30 laps?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were definitely worth a fair bit. I think, fast lap was like a 13 flat, I believe, around there, and I think we were running about 14.7, so about almost 2 seconds of fall off. I think there was more fall off at the first part of the run, with less rubber on the track. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad. I honestly thought it was going to be more rear tire dependent. And once I realized after I pitted there that the rears weren't really that bad, the tires weren't really hot that much at all, I was like, well, I guess you just kind of go from there, because I was kind of pacing myself for a little bit, and then I was like, oh, now I guess it's just to see how long we can go and push in the tires and see what kind of a gap I could get, and it definitely paid off. I mean, the tires weren't too bad at all, and yeah, I expected them to be more, but you know, they just weren't really that much of a factor.
Well, you were able to hang on out here tonight, lead the most laps in tonight's event, and I am able to confirm, because Nick has already given me the updated points, you go into Phoenix next week with a 10-point advantage over Cedric and 19 over Scott. That's the top 3 in points as we look forward to the championship upcoming 2 races here at Phoenix and Las Vegas. How are you going to approach these next 2 races and bid for a championship?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just been the same as my MO for the whole chase so far, is just, you know, don't overdrive yourself. Just kind of try to stay in the top 3 if you can, and be consistent. Consistency will win you championships for sure. You don't want to go, you know, too far over the edge trying to win a race and then end up finishing like 15th or something like that, and then, you know, you're really in it big. So the goal obviously is still to win. I mean, that's, you know, any given race, that's what I come out here to do, is to try to win. But you know, I'm not gonna kind of push it too hard and sacrifice, you know, a championship over it. I'm perfectly fine with settling for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or even 5th. Just anywhere in that top 5 is kind of the goal. If we finish any further ahead of that, then that's just, you know, that's just icing on the cake, I guess.
Well, we'll see if you can continue your run of top 3s next week at Phoenix Raceway. We hope to get the opportunity to talk to you after Phoenix. But before we get to Phoenix, I'm going to open up the floor. Anybody want to say hello to back home, watching you get your 3rd win of the season? The floor is all yours, sir.
Yeah, to start, I just want to say shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. I always love watching it. It's always entertaining. Big shout out to Trinity and everyone involved in Trinity for putting these races on. It's always a blast to come out here every Monday night and have a good time racing. And I want to say a big shout out to Danny Cochran for making this paint scheme, this awesome, beautiful paint scheme, and also for running some laps with me before a couple nights ago, just to kind of, you know, get an understanding of what dirty air and tire wear and all that's going to feel like. So big shout out to him for that, and big shout out to my girlfriend Anna for all love and support. She watches all the races, and I appreciate her very much. So thank you. I love you.
All right, and a little bit of fun before I let you go, Thomas. Cedric Hunter passed along some kind words. He said he wishes you nothing but bad luck the next 2 weeks. So take that for what it's worth as you celebrate tonight's victory.
Well, I love Cedric, so I'm only going to take that as a compliment. And, you know, he's a fierce competitor and a guy I've been racing with forever. So I'm sure it'll be a really fun battle, and I hope nothing but the worst for him too.
A little bit of love being passed around here in the Trinity Racing League. Thomas, congratulations once again on another win out here tonight. And Chris, Alex, I tell you what, 60 laps down at Watkins Glen, dominating performance by Thomas Green to pick up his 3rd win of the season.
Yeah, you know, you heard me kept mentioning through the broadcast, you know, he just did great out here tonight, and it was honestly just a great show out here tonight at Watkins Glen. Nothing short of a good race.
Absolutely. As we take a look at the rundown of tonight's event, we'll take a look at the finishing results of tonight's race. Race winner out here tonight, Thomas Green picks up win number 3 of the season. Cody Reed comes home with a podium. Cedric Hunter, off of a win last week at Kentucky Motor Speedway, finishes 3rd. Scott Richter is able to sneak away with the top 5, as is Ryan Kelly, grabs a position late in the going. Larry Yingling finishes 6th out here tonight, with Chris Stitson 7th. Noah Steele finishes 8th. Mike Miller is 9th, and Brandon Gass is 10th.
Then we've got Clint Cox in 11th, and Ali Fonseca in 12th. Josh Sawyer in 13th, Chris Stamper in 14th. Nolan Hicks and Samuel Garcia in 15th and 16th. Tyler Reef, Mark Labertone, Aaron Kralik in 17th, 18th, and 19th, respectively.
Yeah, an absolute heartbreaker out there for Sam Garcia. Was on his way to a top 5 finish out here tonight, but fate had different plans for the driver, the number 50. Well, as we begin to make our way, the fans begin to make their way out of Watkins Glen International. Alex, you made your broadcast booth debut here tonight. How do you think it went?
All things considered, I think it went good. It was an exciting race to watch the whole way through. Again, I'm thankful for the opportunity to jump on here with you guys, and I'm looking forward to next week at Phoenix.
Yeah, Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network will be back next Monday night live from Phoenix Raceway. I will actually be in Phoenix, the actual Phoenix, so I am leaving it in the very capable hands of my friends Chris Rose and Alex Matheny out here next Monday evening. But they're going to be bringing you all the calls next week from the Diamond in the Desert. Let's make our way out of Watkins Glen International. For myself, for Alex, for Chris Rose, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on a Monday night here. Once again, we'll see you next week at Phoenix.